Hello together.
Hello together. Hello, Robert.
Hi, Klaus. Yeah, welcome to Fun with Relux.
So
The topic today is ceilings.
it's not so sounds not so dramatically in the first moment, but we think that we have some interesting points to show. Also, some old things which are not already known, and yes, it has a lot to do with presentation. And the reason why we make this episode today is we have a short time ago we have implemented new features in the context with ceilings, and this is what we want to show, but also some other interesting points which are related to ceilings.
Yes, ceilings. Yeah, sounds a bit of boring. Have a complete episode about ceilings, but ceilings are for lighting design quite interesting because this is the main mounting installation location for luminaires, for light fixtures. So it's really important to have it from a mounting perspective, but also from the room aesthetics and also sometimes for the room illumination. It's quite important to have the ceiling right. And most of the time, it's quite easy. You have just a flat ceiling, but it's also possible that you have all kinds of strange or complex ceiling structures. And of course, you should reflect the ceiling structures in terms of mounting, of course, but also in terms of reflectance and the appearance of the room is mainly also the ceiling. So you have, if you look upwards in a room, then you see the ceiling. So ceiling is an important part of the room. And and today we will show you how you can cover your ceiling, your complex ceilings, your exotic ceilings in ReluxDesktop. This is something which also sounds easy again. So okay, let's do a ceiling. But I have to say that the tools in ReluxDesktop are a bit of special, sometimes limited. We have not an modular and ceiling editor in a way that you have a lot of options. We have a couple of features which you need to know in order to use them. That's why we're telling you what is possible. And there are a couple of different ways to come to a proper ceiling installation. So yeah, that's why the episode today is more practical. So we'll show you how it can work. And yeah, we should start and go into it. So we will share the screen. You need to select the right screen, and this is this friend here. And
Okay,
Klaus, please show us.
I will start, but I would not start with
With
this project. I want to make a new version. Let's starting from the beginning. In the standard scenes, in the standard rooms, we have
where it is.
it just needs a little time here. When we're selecting a standard interior scene, I would not make the standard. Let me make a polygon scene by drawing. And so by the default in Relux, we are working with based on the floor shape in set extruded room. This one. Here is also, we can see we have also the possibility to make this in another direction, but for this a little bit later. And now this is I will hide for any reason our computer today is a little bit slow. So we have the standard situation related from the floor, from the room, from this polygon, which I have drawn in a set extruded room shape. But we have also the possibility or additional way to for room shapes, and this is I will use now the way insert scenes, and we have here this kind of called shed roof. And here we have the possibility to create a room with a complex ceiling or with a structured silhouette related by shed roofs, which is in the past very often used for
industry halls.
But you can also use this for some other, for the simple saddle roof
Mm-hmm.
from a house also.
Yep.
And here we have the possibility to enter the perimeters. It makes a little bit something larger, 20 meters in the first direction, and in the height, say 6 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And we have here the possibility to set the offset in
The height
so this defines the angle of the shed roof.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make here 3, and also the height of the roof. Let's also make here something a little bit here.
And how many of them?
How many of these peaks we will have, and here for the deep, let's say 10 meters. And then as a result, we will get a room which looks like this. You have also the possibility to change the parameters here with the mouse.
This is quite common to have windows, roof windows on this shed elements in order to bring light into the room, but not direct light, so more in reflected indirect light into the room, which makes a nice illumination in the room. And you have also a kind of covering the water situation on the rooftops with this structure. This was quite common 100 years ago. So it's the industrial age with this shed elements.
And by simply clicking the quantity of these roofs to, for example, to 1, you will get that's a little bit
too high,
a
but
little bit higher, lower.
You can get a more normal standard roof by having just 1 of these shed elements.
It's a little bit more, let's say 10. So then we have something
more traditional,
like a simple saddle roof, which is very often very useful.
Yeah. Also for the water situation. So this is the parametric option. So we have here a parameter for a ceiling option. So this is kind of an modular for a rooftop, but we are just limited to really these parameters. So how many of this triangle zigzags you want to have, and then the parameters as you have seen. So,
yes.
But if you have more complex, Klaus, what we could do if you have more complex?
If we have a more complex or a more free way to, we have the possibility to draw this shape of the object, maybe by using. I close the project now, and we'll go to the interior with a cut drawer, with a CAD plan. I guess many of you will use this feature most of the times. And here we have also the possibility not only to construct in top view, also we have the possibility to choose the option construct in side view. And when I now select one of these useful drawing,
this is now a section, not a floor plan. We have now a section plan of the building.
And here we can stop the next 2 points. But here at this point, it is also recommended for the floor plans to select a useful position of the drawing. But for the section view construction, it is very recommended to use a useful place to set the origin. I will set it here, for example. So I want to have this room drawn here, and then I will set it here. That this should be my origin for my room. Then I will finalize, and now I can start similar as we do this for the
floor plan.
For the floor plan, we can start drawing here the rooms. I will also make here one step. This is not totally correct for the styling, but just to show you the effect. And we can here also click here with the CAD snap as you know it from the floor plan, and then return. And if we now take a look, sorry, the 3D, we will now have here this
side extruded
view from this kind of room. And this room has now, you will see it here.
It takes a while.
Just a moment. Where we see here that this is the construction line now for this room. And we have also the possibilities for these rooms, for example, to delete a vertex here. If I here want too much, or I want to insert, or I want to correct them, you can also use this, do this here in a room which is constructed in this style of rooms. But it is limited to that we have just one extrusion way. Even if you use the parametric model, or if you have a constructed or drawn model from a DVG or by hand.
Yeah.
But now Robert will also show you a more interesting, or more not more interesting. It's more powerful possibility.
Because this is also limited. So we have here not the option to making another bend of the rooftop, or they have two sections of the rooftop. We are limited to one extrusion line. This line can be complex as much as possible, but you have just simple one extrusion. It's not possible to make an Hadid building or some organic structure with multiple angles. This is impossible with the options today. But ReLux itself it's powerful enough to deal with this kind of ceilings. So it's not a limitation of the data structure of ReluxDesktop. This is limited of the tooling of the editor.
Yeah.
So there's not a rooftop editor, and it's not easy from a user interface point of view to create something like this. But if you have access to Revit, and it's getting more and more lighting designers getting use of Revit and of BIM. So in IFC, also in Revit files, you can have this complex seating structures as we have here. This is an older, almost 11 years old sample which I created by one of my first Revit buildings I have created. But this has an interesting rooftop structure with some angles, and it's not possible to extrude this seating form. And this is possible to export with the export and import interface of our Revit plugin. The application or the tool is called ReLux for Revit. This is our plugin in ReLux from Revit, in our Revit plugin from ReLux. And you can do also here lighting calculation, sensors emergency, and so on. This has tons of features. But one of the first features of this plugin was to export into ReluxDesktop. And here we have some kind of a dialog for export with a lot of options. I already had one project file for ReluxDesktop selected. I just take the 3 rooms in the upper floor and just go straight forward to export the stuff with an override. And now it's exported the room structure, including the rooftop. You have just to be aware in Revit that you have the room container, or the room shape. That's also in IFC and also in Revit, and in room definition volume object. And this has to be also covering the complete seating to the top, so really to the end, and then you have a result like this, and looks better in 3D. Oh, it was the wrong button. This one, and you can see now we have also this not easy to extrude, or not possible to extrude roof structure here covered from Revit into ReluxDesktop. And now we can do here lighting design, or exchange the luminaires and go on with it. So we can use Revit as some kind of a rooftop editor for ReluxDesktop. But of course, it's a bit of a waste just to buy a license for this purpose. But if you have the model, if you have the origin in a BIM file, you can easily convert it in this way. By the way, this works also for recut. So if you are able, it's quite deep programming stuff to have a recut file, but this is our interface to other CAD applications, our general interface to bring in rooms, floors, buildings, luminaires into ReluxDesktop. And this works with also with this complex ceilings, but you have then to describe, you need an application to create your roof, your ceiling structure, and describe it in coordinates, and then you can deliver the coordinates also via recut. It's a bit of high tech, but if you have an application, this is at least theoretically possible to have this interface. Yeah, till we have our own roof editor, but this is not planned yet, honestly. So we are not going to do some rooftop editors. And I hope with more and more BIM applications, this will be also more easy for a lighting designer just to take the ceiling, which was already constructed by someone who takes care about the roof or the ceiling structure. And then you just can do your job by placing luminaires into it. So this is the, let's say, the BIM way of having ceilings in it. And Klaus is now showing you the next situation. This is the, how we call it? Yeah, the ceiling objects, which is also an interesting option.
Yeah, this is especially the feature we have implemented. We have a little bit a longer time ago, we started to implement a feature for recessed luminaires. And I want to show, in the past, it was a problem for our members. Oh, no. In the past, it was a problem for our members when they want to have these recessed luminaires to construct them with their real geometry as a complete product and place it correctly in the ceiling. And then we will have we had problems with these luminaires. And now it is possible to construct them, and you will now see that it is possible to have a look, to go inside of this. No, that's a little bit difficult here to zoom, but you will now see that you have now the opening from the luminaire, and you can look inside of the luminaire. And now from that time, it is also possible to place this, or I will see this. I will show this old effect. Let me place the luminaire here in
2.8 meters.
In 2.8 meters here, and at the bottom of this Zwischendecker.
This is your balcony integration.
Whatever. If you have construct such a construction or something similar, even a ceiling shape inside of the building, you have this old problem which we also have in the past in the ceiling. And now it is possible that we choose here, when we have select here, this is my second floor object, and I have now here the possibility to add a new object type, which is called ceiling object. And now from that point, it is also possible to take, you have here now the possibility, the same effect as in the ceilings. It is a little bit difficult inside of the program. So for that reason, you must manually set, okay, this should be a ceiling object, and then it will get the behavior of this of ceiling. Also in the first step, it gets the material of the ceiling. So this is a little way too short up. In a situation like here in my example, it is a little bit too fast. So if you want to change the material, you have to change it here back to the gray, and for example, only the base surface should be blue,
like the ceilings.
Like the ceiling, so that we have here this style of
surface, yeah,
of surfaces, and this also works for also works in the calculated view. Yeah.
The idea was, if you select an object to a ceiling object, it takes also the base material, because ceiling has an default material, and this could help you, but of course it can also leading in the wrong direction to have the same material.
Here a little bit luminaire, which is, but here we have now also this effect from the deep of the
cut out of the ceiling for the
cut luminaire. Out of the ceiling for the luminaire. And
and this works with all luminaires that we have in cutout, if we know that it's a ceiling.
That's all. And for that reason, you should activate here in the properties the ceiling object. If you deselect it, you will have this view. If you select it, you have this view.
Yeah, and with the ceiling object, you can also the idea is that you can also put all kinds of 3D objects and place them to the ceiling and say, okay, you are now a ceiling object. You are now part of the ceiling. That you construct your ceiling with 3D objects.
Yeah. But by the way, here we must say you must use you can construct it with our base objects here from cubes, which is cube based, bit or cylinder or polygon drawn. Sorry, at the moment it works not for real 3D measures. Yeah. So we are still working on that point. It's a little bit difficult. But you have the possibilities for ceilings that you can import, for example, here from our ReluxNet. We have here in our families. So
it's even a section for ceiling objects.
Not for ceiling, for structural elements, but the structural elements also include some 3D objects, like here this. What is this? A
crossword.
Yeah, crossword. And we can open this in
the desktop.
In the desktop. Then we have to scale it to the correct dimensions. We have here in this example, this room is 20 to 20 meters, and this is the height. We can set it to, let's say, to 8 meters. Now we have a correct object for the as a ceiling object. And here, by the way, there is useful for that who did not know the functionality of this kind of insertion point, which is actually as a free arrangement set, but we can use this here by clicking here, and then for ceiling object, it is very useful to use, for example, the center voice on the top face. The top face is the essential thing. Now the insert point is here up to the things, up to the upper part from this object, and now I can very simply set the set height to the room height, and now it is exactly on the top of the room, and here a little bit to center it in the room, and then we will have here a really good ceiling object in our project. And you can use here objects from our ReluxNet, but also you can download from other pages, various files formats. We support here a lot of file format from any other construction, or construct your own complex ceiling in various 3D modelers for the use in Relux.
Yeah. So yeah, with this method to having real 3D objects, own modeled or out of a library, you have all the options to create complex ceilings with now I missed the mouse again. Here we are. And and so you have all the options, and the limitation, as said, this is not possible to select as an ceiling object, not yet. So that means luminaires will just be included into geometry. It will not be cut out. But the rest of the features, you have all the material stuff. You can also calculate correctly with this kinds of ceilings. And you just have to be aware that you have the room height should be the maximum of your 3D constructions, and then you model against the ceiling. It's also something quite commonly, and the effect and the calculations are correct on this. So this is in methods where you have to do a lot in modeling or in selecting and scratching and positioning, but then you have a realistic ceiling element. Okay, what also is possible, I want to show you, which I've done in preparation with the ceilings, is some kind of roots. Roots is something which is an interesting ceiling part for illuminations. So I just start with room number 1 here. I have 2 different kinds of roots, just to show you some options in general of lighting design, but also, of course, for how to deal with something like this in ReluxDesktop. So this here is in root. It's better to see it in 3D. This is more or less in classical outer shape wood, where we have just 2 blocks. So in this room we have 2 cubes. One cube is here, this 2 centimeter thick cube, which is more or less in plate, which is simple, constructed to the ceiling, and the second cube as some kind of an mounting options for this thinner plate. And here on this construction, I have just put luminaires on it, some free illuminating luminaires with more than Lamberian LDC. And classical, this is directed to above, but this has not really an effect because you have round tubes or something which goes the light to all directions. It should not be focused light or pointed light or within direction. It should just glow in all directions. This would be the best. So Lamberian luminaires are the best, and the effect is quite nice. It's also here calculated. The effect is that you have and really smooth light and really diffuse and shadow-free light, which is maybe a bit of disturbing, but you have it in real nice atmosphere in false colors. This looks like this, and this is a nice atmosphere in room with the roots. But yeah, it's also a lot of energy waste. You need a lot of energy, a lot of luminous flux in order to make with this fraction of this reflection on the wall, and it also needs to be really good reflecting material. So white paint, the best white paint you can find on the market, and then you have this nice diffuse light output from a corner. You do not see the luminaire. You have a perfect glare-free, shadow-free, but maybe a bit of boring light because there's not any focus in it. I've added 3 downlights to have a bit of more focus in it, to have a highlight in the room, because it's also quite dark. For this kind of energy I've put here above, it's not as much light which comes to the ceiling. And also you have to be aware of that if you go to this calculation, you should be aware of to having the indirect fraction as high as possible, and also to make the raster spacing. This is an extended feature. You have to make it as fine as possible, the raster spacing. Of course, I can also show it in 3D. This raster spacing shows how many indirect parts are calculated. So each triangle means there is one value which is taken into account in the indirect calculation part. And here we need a lot of space, a lot of elements, because you want to have all the light which is reflected back into the room. If you don't do it and just take the normal spacing of the indirect parts, you end up with less light because there's not so many reflections to the base of the room. So this is something, it takes a lot of calculation time. So I cannot show you in real time. It takes a couple of minutes till it's calculated, but the effect, the result is quite nice. And there's also another element of roots. This is the inner side view, also better to see in 3D, of course. It's something like this, where you have an outside cube or cubes here in this case, and then a plate below this cubes, and then you have an effect like this. Also to see here, okay, we need to end up, and you have an effect like this. This brings even more light into the room. So this is also my favorite wood, because here you have a bit of more like a rooftop window with a lot of light. Also really indirect, really smooth, really uniform. The contrast is a bit of low here. I hope you can see something. It maybe looks better in false colors. Yeah, and really perfect light, but also a lot of energy which you need to put into it. Also perfect with 2 lighting colors which you can regulate, something like this. So this is a nice illumination trick with simple luminaires, a lot of energy of light, and you spend the money for this installation mainly on the ceiling installations, because this is here more sophisticated and not normal. But it's an old trick, an old part of design to work with this woods, and this is also easy to construct. So this is just a couple of cubes with the right dimensions. It's also possible to make here a Boolean operation that you have 2 cubes subtracted by 2 other cubes, and then you have also one piece of a Boolean.
Also have a positive effect to the results, to the effects of the visualization and also of the calculation of this wood objects.
Also, a bit of more LDC stuff. That's the same trick. So just to show you what is also possible for ceilings, and ceiling can also be part of the luminaire in a way. If you're going in this direction to use the ceiling, and also perfect in calculation. Not really perfect, because you have to be aware of this indirect part.
It's a little bit.
It's also hard because you depend a lot on the material information, so you have to be really sure what this reflection you have here on this surfaces.
Because in this situation, parts of the wall and parts of this construction cubes of the wood becomes a part of the, let's say, a part of the luminaire. It goes in the function of a reflector, and if you have to have realistic results or realistic visualizations for things, you have to measure the complete luminaire with the reflectors in the gonio-photometric.
In Enscape you can, or in real-time render you can see also the effect. So this is quite nice. I have to say this kind is
a little bit. It's not really closed at the moment. This is a little bit a problem.
No, this is not. I've also tried to make it here really, really tight. It's the effect. It's from the upper side. So the upper side luminaires having here an effect on this side. So it's something you can work out with positioning of this luminaires. I was not take enough time to make it perfect, but you can see also here the effect. So you have in glowing, almost perfect surface. But I have also to say I have in one of my past offices, I have one of these woods on my office, and if you have an dead insect on the top, or if you have some dirt on the top of this ceramic element, you see it all the time. So it's like an luminous ceiling in a way. You have to be careful that it's clean and straight, and each particle on the ceiling, each nail in it will have an terrible effect on the smoothness. Okay,
that's the classical problem. Is this kind of
large installations?
Large installations.
Okay, good. That's all from our side. So let's go into the questions. I need to open up the questions. Okay, so please feel free to ask questions about ceilings. Here's the first one. What does the ceiling object functionalities entails, please? Does it turn the ceiling into some complex item and therefore the file will be heavier? To put it differently, what is the difference between the standard ceiling and the ceiling with ceiling objects enabled, please?
No, it will not make the program.
It's really just a tick.
It is, but it's for the software. It is a little bit difficult to make automatically the cutouts only in that situations when it really needs to make these cutouts. And for that reason, it needs to know this is a ceiling object. Okay, it's a ceiling object in collision with a luminaire, and then it creates this cutout. So it will not have. It may make the project a little bit heavier, but not really.
Not by far. So it's the same 3D object. It makes the material surfaces to a ceiling, and the cutoff functionality.
Yeah,
so nothing really more.
To using luminaires with realistic 3D geometry makes the calculation a little bit heavier, because you have seen in my example, for example, there were this cooling ribs of the luminaire, and just for the planning results, it was also enough to have the LDC file without this 3D geometry. But it's a question of design.
Yeah. Good. Do not fear this option. Use this option. You do not really mess up or change it. Thanks, Nigel, for the compliment. Then the next one: is there any way to create, say, an L-shaped room with an shaded roof? At the moment, the only way I can achieve this is to create a room and place at angled set of cubes to create the wall. Thanks. This is exactly, we have just this extrusion in one direction, and L would need an extrusion of two sides, and this is not possible.
Yeah. The problem is then you have only, so if we can decide just one shape of roof, for example, but then in the next, obviously the next wants to have the roof also in the front with an angle in some kind. No. So that makes it there are so many options then are possible, and then
yes, from Informatik, it's really heavy to decide, but maybe you can create just a rectangle room and put in a really large column or a big cube into it to cover, which is not L-shaped. Yeah. So the inverse stuff, but then also the rooftop needs to be in the same extrusion as you have it, because in L-shape you can have different kinds of shed elements. Depends if it has the same structure, then and cut off with a huge column would be maybe a solution, but we have not an option
at the moment. Not maybe in the future.
Okay, next one. How would you produce a very large solar canopy supported by columns over an external spot field? And spot fields, and I would create one of the solar elements, and there's an option to copy around in field, or to copy it many times over the field. So I would, similar like staircases, I would create one of those elements and then just copy and place it automatically to a field arrangement.
Maybe you can send us a sketch of how it should look like. So maybe then we can give. At the moment, I have a little bit problem to realize what does he mean.
I guess it's an outdoor roof solar element to cover the glare in the direct part.
Okay.
Also a kind of roof of an sport field. Depends. Yeah, it's if you are outdoor, you need to work with 3D objects. So there's not any roof element. It's limited to indoor this roof stuff, and you also I assume you not need to put in luminaires into this stuff. If it's something which is repeatedly in 3D objects, I would create one of the 3D objects and then copy it along lines and arrangements. Good. Next question. When I create a design, I use 1200 by 600 blazing grid for the ceiling. Can I export the blazing grid as part of the CAD export? Good question, and it comes from time to time. Because this is quite nice feature of the grid of the ceilings, that you have this ceiling luminaire spacings.
Okay, you see the luminaires and you see the spacings between, but what is
but not the grid.
The grid. You can model it with cubes, and the cubes then will be
tiny cubes which you need to arrange. But also, I've done it also in the past. That you create small cylinders or cubes with the ceiling, and then it's also going to be exported. But you need to create it once and copy it along, but it's if you really need to export it. What I also have done in the past is to make a screenshot of the normal situation, but it's not CAD. But this is a feature which comes up from time to time, to having grid arrangements also in the CAD export. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember.
I will try to remember.
Besides by helping lines and so on, exporting.
Yes,
helping,
okay. It's
helping grids.
Helping grids. In this was a really interesting thing to have a tool for helping grids, drawing, helping lines.
Helping grids with some snap functions and so on. So
Yeah.
there is snap on the grid, but on the, let's say, the background grid. Yeah. Good. It's also maybe a topic for next episode, grids. Okay, next question. With the shed roof feature, can you create a sawtooth ceiling?
Yes, it is possible. It's just the one parameter you have to set to 0, then you will have
a sawtooth.
Right angle shape. Yeah.
Sawtooth. I learn more English here. Yeah, sawtooth ceiling. Yeah, so really sharp, one edge, one. Yeah, in German it's Sägezahn. Yeah, sawtooth. Yeah, nice. Yeah, thanks for this, Richard. And yeah, that's all of the questions. And this is fine because we are running out of time. So thanks for your questions. Thanks for your interest in ceilings and Relux. The next episode is about focus light. So light to highlight something, spotlights, arrangements,
beam
directions, rotations of beams, effects and results of this beam angled stuff. So bit of retail, bit of highlighting elements, focus light. Good. Yeah. Thanks for your to being with us, and hopefully we see us. It's on the 27th of February. So February 27th, same time, same location. Hope you will be there again. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.